Okay. Um, let's get into this. Let me switch back over to this. Let me turn it on. Um, this is I want to here. Let me switch over to browser. I want to react to this. I was gonna react to it a lot earlier, but I thought that it was maybe in some chance going to be about 9 o'clock my time and not 9 o'clock their time. So I am a little behind, but don't worry. I'm here. I'm here to watch. We should be good. For some reason, browser's not working. Oh, yeah, no, that is. Oh, it's because I have chat up. Let me hide chat and then it should go back to normal. Yeah, okay. Let me reload the website and unmute.
I believe that what glitch trap actually is it's mimic one, and it sees
Stop.
this character in
Dude, I hate the
which is
technical
why when you first
difficulties that I
pair,
have to
it's
suffer
only an
from.
outline. It's not fully there yet.
Wouldn't the reason it's only an outline be because like you've only found some of the tapes?
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
as you piece it more and more together, it's able to replicate it more and more clearly. Um, and also just like there's a ton of like little hints to it, like how he does speak, but he never speaks in his own voice. He only uses distorted audio from Tape Girl. Um,
For that, I think that's like it could be mimic, but I think that's mostly because the tape girl makes a pretty clear point that the entity anomaly whatever thing was hiding in her logs.
Mm-hmm.
So by finding her logs,
Mm-hmm.
like glitch trap manifesting is connected to those logs. So
That's what I
it would
figured.
it would play that audio.
I can totally see that side of it too. Um, the reason I think that like throughout all of it, it's got to be Mimic One. Like they've got to be the same thing.
I think
Like uh,
oh so
like in Security Breach, there were a lot of hidden rooms, like Mike's room. There
Mm-hmm.
were quite a few rooms that were recreated from Help Wanted, um, and that like
Mike's room is in Help Wanted?
no, not necessarily. It could be in Help Wanted too, which, but a lot of these rooms are rooms that should not exist. They should not be there. It doesn't make
You're
sense
not
for them to
wrong.
be so hidden.
There are a lot of rooms
I
inside of
think
Help Wanted that we
potentially
don't have any idea of what they
your
are.
idea that I'm scared might be correct.
Yeah.
That would potentially explain that. So I've seen this theory, and I'm not. And the scary thing is, I think it might actually be somewhat plausible. And it's that like so Gregory
Mm-hmm.
had a glitch trap in his head, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was patient 46.
Yes.
Cassie gets the chip implanted into her head that messes with her perceptions, and I don't think that's just an in AR thing because she's able to like
She
where she
sees
sees a
Helpy in
wall
the
in
real
real life,
world.
there
Yeah.
isn't a wall, and she's able to walk through it, and she sees Helpy in the overworld. So I think it's sort of a case of like what Gregory's seeing might not actually be what's there.
I can totally see that, especially with Mike's room. That room specifically does not
Yeah,
seem
with
real
Mike's
to me.
room, like yeah, it's very interesting that it's there,
Ooh, that's such a
and that
good.
there
No,
there
dude.
is like so when you're in
Oh
Friday, it's like
man.
oh yeah, nothing is Roxy's lies. There's a disc there that just did not exist previously,
Yeah.
and Gregory it happens to be therapy sessions that Gregory was somewhat present for. So
Because that would
That makes
imply
a lot of
whoever
sense.
a lot of
created the
AR for
technician
Cassie,
world.
a lot of AR for Cassie, you can see things that like connect to her memories, like Gregory's missing posters, stuff from her birthday,
Ooh.
notes from her dad, stuff like that that isn't actually there, but it's from her mind. And so I think that a lot of the stuff for Gregory is stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff that just comes from his mind.
That would solidify connections to
I
the
can
crying
totally see
child,
that.
though.
Um,
And
what
that's
I
a
was going
messy
to
debate.
say about the other rooms in Help Wanted, because I do think that Mike's room, given Ruin's context, that room is probably fake.
Mm-hmm.
But things like you can find the plush baby room from one of the Night Terror games or the Mangle minigame from Dreadbear. Um, and the thing is, like, I went back into those to like look around,
I don't.
and the items in those games, or the items in those rooms, all have the Pizzaplex branding on them, which means that they were like built new. To me, that reads as more like this was made specifically to mimic that room. It just made me, it popped
So
into my mind like, hey, this is something that the Mimic wants to recreate because it was in Help Wanted.
in the how would so the mimic wasn't installed into the Pizzaplex until after it was built and then it was taken out. How would it have made those rooms?
Well, we know that it is most likely in all the machinery, and we see quite a few construction bots who are in places where they really shouldn't be, or doing strange things. They seem to act a little bit
Is it
more,
during security breach or during ruin?
I think, before security breach. Like these rooms were made
What?
before, like, oh no,
No, I'm saying when do
Oh.
we see them?
oh, my bad. In security breach, like in the utility tunnels, when you see them all gathered around that one who fell apart. Or
Oh,
like you see them a few times in strange positions.
I completely forgot about that one.
You find the guy who's pulling a Captain America Civil War, just trying to hold on to that rope. Just all of that stuff to me just jumped out as mimic more than anything
I
else.
do think the mimic is involved, but that doesn't. But I don't think that excludes William from involvement. Is my point.
If
There's
I'm
a lot of evidence that he's
correct,
there, and there's also a lot of evidence of the mimic, and that's why I think it's sort of both situation. Like Glitch Trap is a
those
remnant, and
robots
it's
have
seems
red
to be
eyes,
alive,
don't they?
and it has, and there's the whole it's me, let me out, I always come back, whatever. But then it's a costume more like one that the mimic would wear, and that's why. And then with the two items in Princess Quest, that's why I sort of have the idea of its two forces sort of overlapping.
Where have I seen them have red eyes
can totally
before?
see
Especially
that.
since
I
like,
swear I didn't
the
make that shit up.
the mimic program.
Oh, probably from this. I
is
could have
used in
sworn
VR
they had
games,
our.
and like it's not, but not just VR. It's also in AR and
Maybe then no.
Right.
But the thing is,
Hmm.
it's used for the story creation of those games. And what Help Wanted specifically draws attention to is this that the circuit boards that were given to this company were for pathfinding, not for story creation. And like when you're using something like that, you'll need to know what the purpose is in order to like actually apply it. So why not say, hey, this is for story creation, unless it was in fact for pathfinding. And then, like, Mimic was used in an official capacity by Fazbear Entertainment even after the Pizzaplex was already built, so why bother stealing back these circuit boards that supposedly are in official use if it is Mimic? So that's why I don't think that the circuit boards, that's why I sort of think Mimic was probably used for to some degree for like the actual scenario creation in Help Wanted, but with William's influence from the circuit boards.
I can definitely see that. Something that seems to be like a common caveat that I
love his model.
Most of these theories work better if William is somehow involved,
Yes.
rather than being gone from the equation. And that is something that I need to like.
It's
as long as I can have like be like, hey, I think William's still involved, and people on Twitter won't harass me about it. I'm good.
Yeah. By the way, if you're watching this and you want to harass
Seriously.
me, get out of here. I don't
seriously.
Like
It's really disgusting. It's gross to harass people over theories.
There was specifically some. I have a video that came out a little while back about Tiger Rock, and I realized I think I know what what specific item they got those circuit boards from, and it's something that is mentioned, but nobody really seemed to bother tracking, so I did. Um,
Interesting.
it's mentioned in the first epilogue that when they recover this endo from their shipment, it has like a really burnt body, but its head looks new. And as far as I'm aware, we never see where it gets that new head, nor do we see where the old one went that Edwin would have broken up. So I'm thinking, this is, by the way, this is assuming.
That's where the circuit boards came from.
Yeah, this is assuming that Tales Games is canon, which feel free to disagree
Even
on.
if Tales Games is canon, I still think William's probably involved.
Well, like here's the other thing. When we get to the storyteller, what does Tiger Rock appear as? It
A
appears
head.
as a head.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's that head. I was trying to track it. As far as we know, that's like the last time we've ever seen it, which is why I do think that.
I can get behind the
Yeah.
head being Mimic's head in the Storyteller.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say that the circuit boards are from the head and would be the Mimics.
But there was also a line of dialogue that I tracked in there that stuck out to me. And it's Edwin saying that, like, when he first sees the head and he sees what it's doing, he says, like, oh god, it's happening again. And, like,
Oh.
that stuck with me. What is happening again? What does he recognize? Because, at first, in hindsight, you think, hey, maybe this is him realizing that's the mimic he's dealing with. That's what he's talking about. But I didn't think it was like that. I thought instead, like, hey, wait a minute. What if what he's referencing is what happened with Help Wanted? Because if you think about it like that, the stories really add up and they're very similar. Azen is
My
like.
question is, how would Edwin know what
Yeah.
happened with Help Wanted?
He most likely wasn't
was-
part of the beta
though
team,
he's
was he?
Technically a higher up in the company. There's a good chance that he was working with them at the time of that. I don't know in
But
what.
the thing is, he didn't seem to
Yeah.
know that they had access to like
Mhm.
the Mimics, that they would use the Mimics program.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Which I feel like is something that would have been
There's something
mentioned.
where, like, he didn't know what
The thing
happened.
is, like, he was worried about AI, and then I'd have to reread the story to see exactly what he does.
It could just
But,
be
like,
something.
when he asks Mr. Burroughs what the thing was, Mr. Burroughs is just like, oh, it's just some program that we use for the AR, VR, and arcade games, as though Edwin isn't aware that there's this
Yeah.
other program that they use to do the story creation for them.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like, we can't trust Burroughs to exactly be an honest character. I feel like he is meant in those stories
I mean,
to be
sure.
to be the
I just
representation
don't
of
see
the.
But it's a
how-
wording way. It's the way it's worded, you know?
Yeah, I just don't see how Edwin would know what happened with Help Wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Because the stuff that we hear about in Help Wanted of what happened to Jeremy was a different company.
Right.
Jeremy and Tape Girl were a different company, and then it got back with Fazbear Entertainment, where it got Vanessa. And other than Vanessa, who was able to fly under the radar for some time, we don't know of anyone else who was hijacked other than, like, Gregory. So with Edwin saying, like, it's happening again, it would have to be something he knows about, and with how much he talks about, like, 40 years ago, or whatever. Like,
it is possible.
and how he made the mimic. I feel like it's more so referring to, hey, they're using this program that tore apart, like, killed people. Because I think he would be aware of, like, the killing people thing that the mimic
That feels like something the higher ups would know.
Well, like I said, hey, it's just a theory. Yeah, like, but
I mean, hey, we're here for theory discussion, right? So
yeah, I admit that he probably is just referring to that story, but I do think that it lines up.
It's not
pretty
bad
similarly
to
with
throw
Help
things
Wanted.
at the wall and see if
Like,
it sticks.
when you
That
look
is
at
the best way of
Help-
theorizing.
I hate using this word, but it really does parallel what happens in Help Wanted a lot. They
things can be parallels and still be canon. So
yeah. Thank you, Granite Light, for the $4.99. I've never had more fun.
They
looking
really
at this
can.
movie. Also, please put Mr. Cupcake on the table. Truly the most insane and dangerous killer of the franchise. You got it.
For real.
Let me find a PNG of him real
He's so far the only one with a confirmed. I don't think you can confirm death, but he's the only one that I'm gonna say has a confirmed kill inside of the FNAF movie. So
mood.
that's pretty cool, if you ask me. I think that's
Magnus Russ for the
pretty
$5.
awesome.
Mention to Rye, was the base programming with Vanny Mask trying to contain the mimic? It was the infected Helpy that was trying to release itself. I have a lot to say about that mask.
So the way, yeah, with the mask, what I think is going on is there's Helpy as the base program that's supposed to be there, and then it gets hijacked by the mimic whenever the eyes turn orange or whatever. And mimic hijacking the thing also influences the chip in Cassie's head.
So my 2 cents on it is that Helpy is always like being manipulated. I do think he is just meant to be an avatar of the mimic at that point. I don't think it's a switching back and forth thing. I think he's just always evil.
What do you think about the eyes and veins thing?
This is something that I noticed people point out before, but that usually happens when he says something more opinionated or like mean. And I think what that is just meant to be is it's like meant to be the sign that not all is well here. It's just
Give me
meant
a
to be like
second.
a slight
Um,
hint, but I
My
do
thought
think the whole
process
thing is evil.
is more that like, well, yeah. So my thought process is more like, so there's the base Helpy program, and it's like it'll be being influenced.
I'm sorry for pausing the stream. I'll be back to it here in a second. I want to check something because where was it? Where was it? He made a mention of it. Where did he make a mention of it? Is it right here? No. I know Matthew talked about it. Suggesting. Was it Matthew who talked about it, or was it somebody else? No, it was Matthew. He suggested that the two mimics aren't the same. But where did he say it? Right here. I want to check something.
Where Helpy and the Mimic argue with one another.
What happened to it?
That is so weird because that is supposed to be the mimic version of... Huh. Let me get back on live.
So it's honest, but that doesn't mean it's actually being honest.
Well, I mean,
Fully.
I think there's a difference
Like
between.
it's honest, but like in a dishonest way sometimes.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between like.
This makes sense in my head, I assure you.
Yeah, sure.
I promise.
There's a difference between dishonesty and just not lying, and I think it's more so not lying.
He added the cupcake. That's fucking awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. Misleading. Definitely like half truths here or there.
Manipulating the truth.
And wow, I so my thought process, and I want to know what you think of this because this is one that this is a theory that I posted recently that I was really excited to share about, and unfortunately it hasn't got a lot of traction for me. But I do think that someone went to the ruined Pizzaplex first, and they're the ones who first got the mask, and they probably got killed. And like they're the person who they're
I don't think
they're either the person.
I think you're somewhat correct.
Okay.
Because someone had to go in there and put Maskabot there. And Gregory seems to have been down there in the aftermath of security breach based on his backpack being in the basement or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's the weird, like, and we can see from the graffiti on the walls that people have been in this building before Cassie.
Right.
I would like to note that there's a interesting amount of there's Vanny graffiti, new Vanny graffiti on the walls.
Yeah.
Oh, everywhere.
Which
Yeah.
I find intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that especially interesting. It's like, okay,
Since she's known for tagging things in the original.
Princess Quest, something seems wrong here.
So
Yeah, if the
my thought
Princess
was
Quest
that
ending happened, then
I
that...
think what
How
this
is Vanny
is
still running
actually
around?
multiple technicians were probably here. They were probably given masks, and they ended up dying at different points. Like, maybe they got further on. Like, that would explain a lot. Like, when you go to the Mimic Room and you find that there's already a bunch of nodes that were destroyed.
Yeah, somebody had to
I
have
think it
placed the
would make-
security nodes.
I think it makes a
Because
lot of
here's the
sense
thing,
to say,
there are like
oh,
plushies and
I'm
stuff in
expecting
places
people
that
to
shouldn't
down here.
physically exist.
Or specifically with Phaser Blast. When you get there, you see prototype and all that, but you also see this like table with a bunch of tools that are laid out explicitly and spare parts and things like that, which makes me think that someone was there trying to fix him up and they just weren't able to.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. It's I I really wish that that video did better, but overall it does lead me to believe that there was another like big story that happened before Ruin that we're only seeing the consequences of.
You can see that in security breach as well, and it's really interesting. Like there was this one Twitter thread I saw that was sort of going over like, hey, here's this area where some glass is shattered, or here's an area like they were pointing at the like, hey, in a whole bunch of Chica connected areas, there like Chica merch nearby or Chica's prison or whatever, there's like evidence that someone else was here and maybe being attacked.
Right. Thank you, Magnus Russ, for the
And
$10.
that's okay.
Sorry, I'll read this out and then you can continue.
Okay.
Second question. Originally, what was the purpose of Vanny making people go missing? Was anyone being murdered for Remnant, or what would be the motivation for the Mimic program ordering Vanny to kill?
I don't think it was for killing. I think it was for specifically for the purpose of gaining more Vanny people.
I don't know what her motivation was, but I do think she did start killing.
Oh yeah, I people did die. I just
Why?
So one theory I have, yeah, it's like people die, but it's like, is it for Remnant? Which it might be. One theory I have is that it's to like replacement sort of situation.
Maybe.
Like Gregory had to get Gregory's in the newspaper as missing, and he got glitch trapped at some point. So what if he got kidnapped by Vanny and either glitch trapped
Forced
or
into the Vanny
like
mask.
robot replaced with robot Gregory, who would then like fill that spot and pretend to be the actual Gregory, but still like being helping glitch trap.
I'm just trying to think
Patient
of...
46 has this whole thing. It's like, you had a great family, but it seems like you're reading your life off of script or whatever. It seems like it's just something made up. Or it's like, you had a great family, but you were lying about it. What was that for? And it's like, maybe because he doesn't actually remember what his childhood was actually like, because it didn't happen.
I'm just trying to think of, like, what is the end goal of all of this for Glitch Trap or Vanny or whatever? Why are they doing this? And, like, if the goal is to bring him back, why do you need to necessarily kill anyone? We don't know if they're, like, harvesting Remnant, which I don't think they are. We don't really see any indication of that happening. We just see people going missing. And, like you said, that could...
It's not happening, though.
Yeah, missing is a lot different than killed, especially now when people are more and more likely to be vessels.
Here's the thing, right? In with the original murders, it's the missing children's. People went missing at Freddy's. They didn't know where the bodies were, so people didn't technically know they had been murdered, but it was generally assumed, and it could be a similar situation there.
Right, and I do think that like people did die, but the fact that we don't know for certain.
That's such a good way of thinking.
You know, we have an
Just
idea of
asking why.
but,
Why?
and
What is
we know where they are.
the main goal of Glitch Trap?
But,
Yeah. So it could just be a case of it hasn't been revealed yet, is my point. I tried to like hold off from like, because the thing is like we get so much information as things progress. Like we didn't have a name for the killer until the Silverize, and then it didn't get mentioned until Sister Location. We get information like in bits and pieces as it goes.
Fuck.
On.
I can't look it up.
Know that Mike was
Why did he start kidnapping during the events of the fourth closet?
Whatever, until later, and we finally find out, hey, this is the guy we've been playing as. And
yeah, we do get a kind of drip fed to us over time, huh?
Yeah. So it's like we don't find out how exactly the puppet got
Fuck.
possessed until game 6. So it's just a lot.
It makes me wonder how long they're going to spend at the Pizzaplex when it comes to these games. I saw a lot of people.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people who think that maybe the idea is they're going to keep making DLC for Security Breach, and eventually like
To go up to
there'll
5
be
games. Yeah.
and then you'll finally have
5 nights at the Pizzaplex. That would be so amazing.
Exactly. I
I
wouldn't
could get
mind.
behind that.
I wouldn't mind if they did that, but they'd need to come up with cool stuff to do each time, and I'm not sure how long they'd be able to stretch that out.
Yeah.
It's like, what else can you really do? Make it even dirtier?
Actually, I think if they started repairing it and actually saw a repaired version of the Pizzaplex, would be nice.
Could be a prequel.
Yeah, like during
Not necessarily
construction
but,
or...
like, during the more Tales era.
I would like to see being able to see the storyteller specifically. That would be cool. I'm not sure if they would ever go for that, but I would love to see that.
That would be cool.
Actually, that does make me realize something. If Tales are canon, then that explains a lot of the missing kids stuff, because so many kids die in those books.
Yeah.
And a lot of them do just die at the Pizzaplex. How many kids have like just gotten on a ride there and then started convulsing? like way too many.
Good question.
Or like I noticed there is a specific character who appears in the Tales books who I don't really ever see mentioned, surprisingly, because like this specific character that I'm thinking of, it would really benefit the people who are convinced Sister Location is coming back. And that's Glamrock Ballora. Like, she is straight up
Yeah.
present. She's present,
I found
she
that very
existed.
interesting that she was there. Like,
Yeah.
her attraction got shut down because, oh boy, but she was there.
Yeah. Which makes me think, like, why has no one, like, actually brought this up in any capacity? This is the best evidence we have that Sister Location content is making a return.
It's like, well,
It's
there's a lot
mostly
of evidence
because
as well. Like, if you look at Ruin,
Sure.
it's like,
he
oh, yeah,
doesn't have any references in game. There's so much information they could have put in game.
The fun times were not forgotten by the company.
The reason I say it's the best is because this is so far like the only like
Actually
example,
present
yeah.
animatronic.
yeah, the only one who's like actually present that we know at one point in the past existed. Like,
Actually,
those are cool and all.
I wonder if I'm
What
right.
you said earlier about
They're not actually babies.
yeah, there's
Oh,
that.
man.
And also, if what you said earlier about the mask affecting reality is true, then there's a chance that those just weren't real.
Oh yeah, I find that very likely that they were just hallucinations.
It would give William a motive by introducing the idea that the whole purpose of all of this is just like it's always been. It was the whole purpose of the Funtime animatronics in the very beginning. It was the whole purpose of the missing children incident. It was the whole purpose of finding Remnant. His main goal might still be the same goal that it was from the very beginning. William might still just be trying to bring his family back to life, put his family back together again. That's always been his motivation. Even if it is the Mimic, that would then also explain why it would want to bring those people back to life, why it would collect a Gregory to get a Gregory spot, why it would collect a Vanessa to get an Elizabeth spot, because that ending picture of Gregory, Vanessa, and Glamrock Freddy, it is very difficult to not look at that and notice the parallels.
Left on my list. Let me take a look. Oh, we haven't talked about the movie yet. Do you have any ideas on the movie?
Yes.
I believe that the Aftons don't exist. They're not related.
See it? I am once again
Michael is not an Afton.
a new fan in which I did not have to wait through the 8 years of purgatory waiting for that thing to actually happen.
Lucky.
Oh, yeah, it's been hell.
Lucky.
I remember being there year one, and we were already getting supposed
Warner
leaks that
Brothers.
ended up being total hoaxes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now we finally.
That's such a shame.
Coming, and it's supposed to be 3 hours long.
That got taken off of Rotten Tomatoes. It's probably not going to be that
Okay.
long. But
If it was 3 hours long, that would be insane, and I would be there for it.
I remember early on,
Every minute.
in the movie pipeline, it's funny that I ended up being the Jim Henson Company making the puppets and all that. But originally, there was this leak going around where it was photos of some of the animatronics that Jim Henson's company had used for the show Dinosaurs, which was a sitcom.
Okay.
And those images of the endoskeletons were being passed around as like, hey, this is leaked footage of the animatronics being made. And I remember I didn't necessarily believe it back then because I thought, why would they actually go through the effort of making entire endoskeletons for these things?
But then they did.
Yeah, then they did, and now I'm thinking...
The real life
maybe I
equivalent
should've
to
been
a
little bit
Springlock
dumber.
suit.
Emia, do you remember Bender VA voicing Springtrap? I don't remember that one. I remember when Willem Dafoe was added to the cast list. Oh, that would have been perfect.
That
I
would have
still
been
believe it.
perfect.
I think Matthew Lillard's going to be great, but Willem Dafoe would have been so funny.
If it was a Silver Eyes book movie,
Um,
100% William would have killed it.
As for like theories regarding the movie, so we do still have characters who haven't appeared in the trailer yet, either because they're trying to save them, or because maybe it's a post-credit scene or something. Puppet and Balloon Boy both got casted, and we haven't seen them yet.
Mhm.
And I believe there was also an actress casted for Toy Chica as well.
There was what now?
I don't know if it's
Interesting.
I don't know if it's on the IMDb anymore, but I know that it was for a period of time. There was an actress cast for Toy Chica, which
Oh,
does lead me to believe
Um,
like sequel
um,
post-credit scene.
they're already beginning on those models.
I don't think there was
Oh,
ever anything on Mangle.
man, imagine we get the FNAF 2 movie and it's actually a sequel this time and not a prequel, and then we get the new fans and they're like, ah, yes, FNAF 2 after FNAF 1, and the game fans are just sitting there like, no, actually.
Yeah. Oh my god. I haven't made like any specific videos regarding FNAF 2 specifically, but if that were to happen, every single time I did from then on would be so much pain. It's almost,
actually, FNAF 2.
It is before FNAF 1.
yeah. Please stop thinking about the movies for a second. Alright? Put down the books, put down the movies, let's talk games.
One thing I want to do is like, I've wanted to make a timeline video for a while, and what I want to do is I want to try and post the timeline video around the time that the movie comes out, so that when all the new people come in, I
They
can
have
say,
a
okay,
timeline
hope
video.
you had fun at the movie. Here's what actually happened.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun. I'm kind of working on something similar like that in the background.
That makes 3.
The like working progress name for it is the beginner's guide to FNAF. Where I'm just like,
I'm mentally referring
I'm
to
currently
all the
writing
numbers and
2
facts.
videos, which is the commonly accepted timeline and the fully canon timeline.
I like lay out vocabulary terms like, alright,
Here's
this
what the heck Remnant is.
yeah, here's what Remnant is. Here's what Agony is. Here's what Dark Remnant is. Basically, it's Agony.
So more or less, Agony is just corrupted Remnant, essentially.
Don't worry about it too much. It doesn't need to make sense.
It only appears in one game. It doesn't matter.
It's just a thing.
And once it exists, it is the most. I can't think of the word. It is overused, dude.
How far are they going to bring it in terms of the insanity? I think for the movie they would keep it simple.
I would have loved, please, Scott, give us the Cassidy cut. Give us the Cassidy cut.
From what I've heard, the story that they're basing the movies off of is the first 3 FNAF games. So it's not going to. So it's not. If what I heard is correct, they're not going to be involving the stuff from later in the time, like later in the game's releasing. It'll just be those 3 games to sort of like. Because like Scott told you, okay, I want to tell a new story. Here it is.
Yeah, but like then.
Like what the Theorize was.
Thank you, Jacques
And the
the
movie is a
dog.
completely different medium to that, and they have to change things around. So it's like, I'm gonna tell a cool story that isn't just what you would get if you were just doing the games. Because in that case, just play the games, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jacques the dog lover, for the 5 Canadian. Does William need a motive? Some people think he doesn't right now. I disagree.
I think I think there's a motive because everyone has a motive for everything they do, but that doesn't mean it has to be a relatable motive.
I think he probably has a motive, but it's not necessarily a motive that we need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
it's like he has a motive. That doesn't mean it has to be one that you would personally kill someone if you had.
Yeah, I don't think we don't really need a motive, because all a motive would really do at this point is kind of excuse what he's done a little bit, or like any kind of motive we receive from fine if we don't get a clear motive.
I disagree.
In my estimation, because like from reading in the Silverized, like the crying child is never mentioned, and neither is Mike, but we do see Elizabeth. But like in some videos I get, there are a lot of comments about like, hey, so I suggest that Charlie is the first person killed in the games, and I don't care whether or not people disagree with that or whatever. But the main counterpoint that I get for that on that short is that like, hey, William had to have a motive, which means that he had to have one of his children die in order to start killing. And I just sat there like, well, people don't have to have a child die in order to start killing. And in the Silverized, where the attention is drawn is to his jealousy of Henry. The crying child is never mentioned. Like, for all we know, he doesn't even exist. And I get the feeling that if that was the main, like, the reason he started killing, that would have been mentioned by, like, either the police or William would have said something. Because William, when he talks about Henry, is like, oh, yeah, Henry did this and I'm better than Henry. It's never, Henry took away my son.
Yeah,
You know?
I think the Silverized version of William, that provides us the closest thing we really need for a motive is just he is a weird guy with
He's
a
a
weird
jerk.
relationship with his
He's a
business
weird
partner.
man. Exactly.
You know, it just made me think. It is kind of weird though that we don't ever hear about Crying Child Michael. We don't hear about Crying Child or Michael in the Silverized trilogy. I don't think. We.
That's
do.
because they're
I know
different
we hear about
continuities.
We don't hear about the other two.
That's because I don't think that
Which
CC got bitten inside of that timeline. I think that is the continuity difference.
Way more. But, like,
Well, and a
imagine-
few other
imagine
pieces.
on
Hey,
the
Scott said take it as its own separate thing, so I'm there. There it is. It's its own set of events.
Imagine in the final act of the fourth closet, you know, you get baby, you get Charlie and all that.
Burst out of the wall.
Mike just bursts open the door and says, "Stop right there." Father, it's me, Michael.
I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be.
And he's just pointing at
They
baby.
were all there. They didn't recognize me.
Starts pouring gasoline on the floor.
Oh man.
No, now I want that. Someone release the Michael cut.
I have wanted to write like, okay, but what if Mike was in the Silverized trilogy?
I have
Like,
also thought of that idea.
One-shot thing, but I never actually had the motive to sit down.
I feel like Mike and Charlie would
It's like
be
I
an
can write
awesome
it,
duo.
But it only really works if I have a clear idea of what I
But
want.
Charlie is much younger than Mike.
Charlie, you see, I am also a robot. Look inside me. He opens up his chest and the crying child's inside. Oh man. If that's how the story went, I'd not stop talking about it ever. That would be my new favorite piece of media.
It would be so funny.
Oh man. So we've been going for about an hour. If there's anything else you want to talk about, I think we could cover it. But I think we're going to be ending the stream here soon.
Yeah, I'm fine wrapping up. I do have a video to edit, so should probably not stick around too long.
Yeah, and I have a segment that I need to record for a certain friend. Instead, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to tell people, as we're winding down tonight, to keep an eye out on September 6th, because I'm going to be something big is coming out on September 6th, which is also my birthday. Be turning 21 years old.
Oh,
And
Old.
congratulations.
yes,
Congratulations, dude.
we're finally getting merch.
Ooh.
My store will be opening on September 6th at noon EST. So I'll be sure to make a tweet about that when it happens. Definitely check that out when it's time, and I'll start linking it in videos after that. Thank you everyone who decided to tune in for tonight's stream, and thank you to everyone who donated. And especially thank you to ID for coming here and being a part of this.
Yeah, no problem.
I promise this remains.
It has been a lot of fun. I'm gonna say goodnight to everyone.
Good stream. Good stream.
Have a good night and peace.
See ya, boys. And like that, they came to an end. First of all, about the whole motive talk, I want to put my piece here and put this to bed. Crying Child and Michael not appearing with Inside of the Silver Eyes is actually extremely easy. And that's mostly because I don't believe that the Crying Child did get bitten inside of that timeline. I think that the Crying Child and Michael just went on to live normal lives. They're unimportant and uninvolved, if they even exist inside of that timeline. But I'm pretty sure that's what the continuity deviation is. Because for a second, I do think there was a theory that the Crying Child was originally intended to be Sammy. And there is technically the caveat of there has never been a 100% proven fact that the crying child. Give me a second. A 100% proven fact that the crying child Foxy brother is Michael, or if they're two separate people. That has never been 100% confirmed. And I was thinking about this earlier today, and I'm probably going to end up having to make a video on it, because I wanted to make a video on how bad speculation has affected timelines in the modern day. And the truth is that there is some information such as that physically, although as a community we do agree that that is what happened, at any moment Scott could decide to release information that suggests differently, and we'd physically not be able to disprove it or imply that it was a retcon, because there's physically nothing inside of the series that flat out states, oh yeah, and crying child and his brother, that is most certainly Michael. It's still on ice. I agree that they are most likely the same person, but it's still not a confirmed fact. As for his Silver Eyes parallel, seems to have the motivation of immortality. I did hear mention of him wanting revenge, but all I've ever seen was one little page stating that he wanted revenge inside of the original Silver Eyes, which, sure, cool, I guess. For character-wise, that doesn't really make sense, as I've stated inside of my video, how usually, you know, when people go to start murdering, they start with something much smaller than, you know, humans. They usually start with something much different, and they usually come from very bad backgrounds, but, you know, maybe Scott was feeling a little quirky when developing his character. Another point I forgot to mention is, no, I'm not going to bring that up because a lot of people are not going to like that. You have to remember that Scott is a religious man. I don't think that has had any effect on the games, but it is something you might have to consider when thinking about how he would design his characters. With that being said, I'm going to get so much hate. Yeah, I agree with some stuff. I do like the ideas of potentially... I do like coming up with the idea that the children were being kidnapped for the purpose of being put inside of the Vanny system, most likely to replicate Afton's family. I still don't understand. People have tried debunking me on this fact, and the fact that there is a scene of Elizabeth getting slapped by William is still not enough proof to suggest that he hates his children. And I will die on the hill to say that William does not hate his children, and the only child that he has ever hated or shown any signs of physically hating is Michael. And that's questionably justified. And I 100% believe that the biggest reason that I can't live that concept down is because it's the one event not caused by Afton. I find it so weird for one of the most important events that were not caused by Afton to not be what caused him to go off. Why does he have to be the one that cuts it? Why does he have to be the one that starts everything? It makes more sense, to me at the very least, for this to be the result of an accident, because that bite is one of the very few accidents inside of this entire series. And just to believe, I don't know. I think it really is just the head fanon idea of they just want William to be an evil character 24/7. And that's just not how human beings are. They have motives. They have reasons. Everything is caused by something else occurring. So to believe that William killed for something as silly as jealousy, which I don't really know what he would be jealous. I don't even know what the Silver Eyes was implying he was jealous of Henry for. People have said that it's his family life, but from what I've read, I've never seen anything that states that he was jealous of his family life. I saw that it said that he was jealous, but I don't see any reason why William should be jealous of Henry. They both ran the company, and arguably it was William who owned the business side. If anything, Henry should be the one that's jealous. Maybe he's jealous of his technological prowess, which, sure, I think that could explain the existence of the nightmare gas, if you which is what I'm currently running with. But still, I don't think that him being jealous for no real reason is a good enough reason to kill somebody. Versus the only, I don't know, it just rubs me wrong. I see no reason for him for it to be implied that the Bite of 83 was completely an accident, just to be switched over to not. It was a plan by William. He distinctly wanted to get both of his children to be angry at each other because he's some weirdo that likes killing everybody, including his own children. Despite his multiple warnings to stay away from the animatronics, he wants to kill them on his own accord. That seems to be what it is. Because, you know, if he hated his family, I don't see any reason why he would have been like, oh no, Emily, or oh no, Elizabeth, don't go hanging out with that good old circus baby. You know, I hate you guys so much, but make sure you don't get too close to the animatronics. That seems like a weird thing for somebody that hates his children to do, rather than just him being a neglectful, abusive father. That is something that exists. There are multiple people in this world that believe that the way that they behave is a way of showing love, even though it is abusive. Because at the end of the day, William is a human being. We've all just seen a tainted version of him because we've only ever seen William from the perspective of he's been a killer from the very beginning, because he was the killer. He is known as the killer in this franchise. So I don't blame anyone for thinking that that's just his one personality trait. But the thing is why does Henry, as I stated in my video, why does Henry get to have so much character development just for it to all be wasted? When it comes to William, William's only character trait is that he hates his children and wants to kill everybody. Oh, and he's jealous of Henry for, like, I don't know, maybe he thinks his hair is cooler or some shit. I genuinely don't know. Anyway, I'm done with this rant. This is going to be the last that I talk about William and his motivations. I do like the idea that they were kidnapped for the sake of building William's family. I think I'm going to run with that from now on until something else disproves it. I really enjoy that. Me and Rytoast ended up coming up with the same idea. I'm currently writing a video, I believe, on that. Or if I can... yeah. Other than that, I think that's going to be it for stream. I will see you guys some other time. Matane.